Hello and welcome to Ticket Manager's All Access interview series, engaging leaders from across the sports marketing spectrum to identify and explore critical issues in the business of sports, entertainment, sponsorship, activation, ticketing, hospitality, content, and even more. I'm your host, Jim Andrews. Joining me on this episode is Jules Manders, an entrepreneur based in Amsterdam, who has founded a network of related companies involved in digital technology, sports, fashion, and lifestyle brands. And today we're really going to be talking mostly about his company, 433, which is the largest social football community in the world. Joel, it's a real pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for being here.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jim.
Well, I'm going to assume that some of our listeners are probably very familiar with 433, probably active users of the app and everything. But beyond the brief description that I just provided, others may not be. So can you start us off with just a little bit of background, both on you personally and on 433 and your businesses and how you all got started with this?
About me, let's do that very quick. I finished university in the city of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. I studied business administration with a specialization in marketing and communications. And after several positions in telecoms, finance, and lots more, I decided with my co-founders to start our own companies. And that was now, I think we just celebrated the 10 years anniversary of the company. Right. So 10 years ago, we came together and we had me and my other three founders, we had such a huge click on upcoming new social media platforms. We had a huge love for the game of football, soccer, and also a couple of other stuff, actually. And so we decided to join forces. And 10 years ago, we hit the road, and to be honest, we hit the ground running. We thought that football coverage on media was a lot of times way too serious. It was always taking yourself very seriously in the football journalism. And we saw the upcoming fast growth of social media platforms like Facebook, of course, already then, and Twitter, but also very young Instagram. And we decided to give it a go and to jump onto it. And basically, what we decided, we wanted to create in the football domain a sort of like locker room fun experience. So you and your teammates, the conversations and the fun stuff you discuss in the safe space of a locker room, and we tried to emphasize on that and to put a brand and a community around that. And basically, if I fast forward to today, that's still one of our North Stars. We want to be such like a very big locker room where everything is possible and everything can happen, but you treat everybody in that locker room as your teammates, as your friends. And everybody has one common interest, that's the love for the game.
Well, and that's really what the term community is, right? It's that group of people getting together, and it's right. It's not one kind of broadcaster just talking to other people, but it's that kind of shared experience. What would you say is kind of the key to the success, though? Because if we go back 10 years ago, we could find lots of social media accounts on all those different platforms you were just mentioning, talking about football, probably wanting to be the place to turn to. So how did you become, one of the big winners in that space?
I think one of the things we really understood very well that football about the competition, let's put it that way, it was a bit old-fashioned, and they were losing more and more grip on the youth audience, so young people, and we saw the trend that young people were not. Or we're having more and more difficulties watching the full 90 minutes game. Right. And having more difficulties to go to the stadium. For instance, one of the reasons, like you have bad coverage in the stadium, so you cannot spend time on your mobile at the same time. We chose really for short form content. And I mean, really, our golden rule the first years was everything we do and everything we say, we should keep it under 15 seconds length.
Wow, very short.
And yeah, that's short. So, and still today, we love to test. So, and I always say, like, if we have a great idea in the morning, in 2 hours later, we will post it, or we have created something. And if the audience don't like it, then we do something different in the afternoon. And I think the great thing, of course, about social media is that everything is digital. It's in your handset. It's in your hand, and you can see literally by the second what is happening. How many people are liking it? How many people are commenting on it? How many people are sharing it? We call all these things together engagement. And as from day one, it went so fast. So we saw the first million coming up, the second million, celebrating the first 5 million, 10 million. So, and now, today we have over 65 million followers on the main account, but we have a couple of several football accounts. So in total, we have over 100 million, by far over 100 million followers. Of course, not only on Instagram, also on Facebook, also on Snapchat. But basically, still, like everything you do, look at the data, what is happening and what people are doing with it, and you know how to change course a bit to keep the energy high and to stay successful.
I'd like to get into the kind of the business side of things a little bit, and have you talk about the different relationships that 433 has, because you have relationships with clubs, with the leagues, with individual players, and with brands. So and our audience here represents folks who are working in all of those different spaces, whether with teams and leagues or agents, agencies, brand marketers. So if you could talk a little bit about how you work with each of those, the rights holders, the brands, the individual athletes, I think that would be really enlightening for us.
So let me start with clubs and leagues. We have, I think they, especially clubs, were the first ones to really embrace us as a new medium or new company in the world of football. Actually, it was Barcelona. FC Barcelona was one of the first who opened their doors. They said literally to us, you can use all our content we have from training footage, training grounds, from every team we have under the roof. But we see, especially clubs and leagues, they have so much rights and so much access to the beautiful game, but you see that their fan base is aging, and they have some struggles. Of course, the one league a little bit more than the other, but they have difficulties keeping young people and getting young people on board. While we, on the other hand, we have 90% of our followers base, an audience, is younger than 34 and is male. So we have a very young, high engaging audience. So the leagues and clubs, they see that we are sort of like solution provider if they join forces with us. And to be very honest, and I'm still very proud today that we always were that and still are, that we were always open for collaborations, doing fun stuff together. And that's maybe a nice bridge to the players. As from day one, we never presented ourselves as journalists. We are a community, and football players, even some very famous football players today, they were as young 14-year-old kids, just a fan of the community. They were a member of the locker room. So players, they when our presenters are joining, they're watching a game and they go into the locker room, or they are next to the pitch. Football players, they will shake hands with them and they walk straight to them. So because they are never afraid of difficult questions. Why didn't you play the full match? Or what is going on between you and that player? We are always focusing on positive stuff. And so we are quite a safe haven there, safe and fun. So players recognize that really early in existence of the company. And in the years after that, we saw that more and more brands also recognized the engaging power of our community. Sure. And so they partnered up with us. And most of the times it's like, hey, I have, for instance, Adidas, they say, okay, we have some Real Madrid players for you. Can you come up with something which we can do with Real Madrid players? And then we try to create some funny concept. For instance, a trivia quiz together with the football players, or we try to do some tricks with them. A lot of times there's a funny, relaxed angle to it, not making it heavy, but make it more personal. in an easy way, and that that got recognized, and yeah, ever since they know how to find us, and that's growing.
So you've become almost an extension of some of the club's own kind of content production efforts in a way, but you're still obviously maintaining the independence.
Yeah, but commercially, it's true, of course. If like, for instance, like I gave you the example of FC Barcelona, they have sponsors. So the moment Barcelona collaborates with us, they share content, like more people will see in the footage the main sponsors of Barcelona,
Right.
and on the shirt. So it's more attention to their sponsors.
Oh, absolutely. It's a real benefit to them. So, and then on the business side of things, we're all aware of that in the audience for this podcast. Who, I guess the question is then, who's paying whom? How are you making money off of this? Is it the advertising and sponsorships?
Let's talk about the pink elephant in the room then. I love to talk about this. The first years we didn't focus at all on commerce. We want to become the biggest first, and we said to each other, okay, let's invest our own money into it and to become the biggest, because the biggest sits at the table, and we were really afraid, and I spoke about the branded content. We were really afraid by becoming too commercial, like pushing advertisements. So like, hey, you have to buy this now from us. We were really afraid killing the vibe in the locker room. You can have a good deal for your audience, but if you try to sell it every day, the same stuff, you will be kicked out of your own locker room if you're not careful.
Exactly.
So I think halfway, of course, we were more and more starting the conversation of branded content. So that now you understand, of course, also more why we focus on branded content rather than on advertisement. And so from that point on, we start making money, but still very careful not push our luck there, and that grew. So it becomes bigger. You have, like, instead of a one-off, you start making a deal for 12 months. You start making collaboration with tournaments. Like, for instance, in November, December this year, we had a full studio in Qatar, having a studio, but also being a platform for a lot of our partners, brands. And yeah, every day we are still searching for more and better ways to, of course, optimize commerce, because we have, we're a commercial company, we have to make money, and do it in a way which is liked and accepted by the audience, because it's for sure the fan should and must always win.
Well, and I think it's so important when we talk about the branded content, because you and I have both seen plenty of examples of it done poorly, like you said, that interruption that's going to get you kicked out of the locker room. But when it's done well, it really can be effective. And I know that I've seen some of the examples from some of your partners. Are there any of those partnerships, any of the campaigns, let's call them, that they've done that you would cite as that have been particularly effective, that you're kind of particularly proud of?
Yeah, I have many, but one of comes to mind is like one of we did, I think it was 2 years ago, with Activision Call of Duty. I think maybe that's the best example, because it captures everything we stand for. Call of Duty, of course, the game everybody knows, but a lot of football players, they spend a lot of time at home, of course, recovering, etc., being ready for the next match. We came up with a creative idea to have 20 really famous top players, real time, competing with each other with Call of Duty. And the great thing of it is that it was so well done, but very authentic. I think where the audience immediately believes that it was relevant. This was lifestyle for the football players, so they saw their idols in a different environment, and it was so creatively done with the edits, etc. But it was real time, and so much emotion going on, and it was like, looking at football players playing something else. It's I think it's a great example where you see that we can help brands, and where we can bridge the gap between the audience and these super brands.
433 is often a second screen, right, for football fans as they're watching live matches. Is there an opportunity then, in that case, for collaboration with those first screens, whether that be a Sky Sports, ESPN, Warner Brothers Discovery? Any kind of conversations there?
Yeah, we had some, and actually, I believe we will have these kind of conversations more and more. I spoke about the locker room. I think because of our size, we have over 7 billion impressions a month. We became quite big, but still, we believe in collaborations and making a lot of cross promotions and crossovers. So I have conversations with rights holders at the moment, and the more traditional television, for instance, channels with a lot of rights. And I believe we can do way more the upcoming years, and to make, on the one hand, to have a bigger audience, but also creating new concepts and new ways to have that first, second screen experience. Because I personally, I'm a fan myself. I would love to have more concepts and cross-promoting opportunities where you watch a screen here and that screen has something to do with the other screen and back and forth. I think we can do amazing stuff together, and so I expect, yes, that we will have this kind of conversation more, and that we will start doing some real fun stuff, and maybe already with the next tournament next year in Germany, big tournament, or otherwise it will be in the US, of course, with the 26. We have to be ready for that, and I really believe that the fan will win with that kind of collaborations, first, second screen combinations.
It seems like a natural, right? From certainly from a fan perspective, from an outsider perspective. Obviously, there's all of the business considerations that go into that. But
for instance, like you have so many moments in the game where the referee blows the whistle, and there's a VAR moment, where he has to go check the screen, or there's a penalty or a shootout in the end of the game when it's a draw. We can ask the audience where they think the penalty will be shot, or we can ask the audience to become a referee with us. These kind of interactions and conversations. I think we can emphasize on that, and we can have a lot of fun also with it.
Absolutely. So what's next for 433 beyond the ideas that we're just talking about there? What are you looking at? I mean, obviously, as you mentioned, you've already got those 100 million followers, 6 billion impressions across all of your different platforms. What do you think is coming next, or where would you like to be going down the road?
On a high level, I would say let's continue the ride with. To correct you a bit, it's already more than 7 billion impressions, but it's. I think it's all about, the love of the game, the beautiful game, enjoying football. And I believe that, since we already launched our own platform, app, but also web, I believe that the upcoming years, we will extend our reach, our attention, but also open ourselves up more as a platform where others can collaborate, where we will become more and more also a solution for clubs or leagues, all players, and I believe that in that section there will be there's a lot to win there. But also next to that, I believe that we will focus ourselves more and more on interaction between you and your friends, because the generic thing globally is talk about the game, predicting things, predicting outcomes, maybe test each other's knowledge in trivia and quizzes. Having fun together as a group, maybe with your teammates, maybe if that's a football team, great, or soccer team, or maybe it's your classmates. But I think we personally will focus really a lot more on the interaction in the night, in the morning, when you are traveling, when you are on your own, and still having a bit of a feeling that you are with your team.
One thing that has happened in the time span since you and I first met and said, "Hey, let's do this podcast," is there's a certain Argentinian player who has found his way to the United States. Are you seeing an increased interest in your platforms from the U.S. audience now that we have Mr. Messi here?
Yeah, is it Messi League Soccer or the Major League Soccer? I'm not sure. Yeah, now and one of the things I'm also very proud of that for years we are a proud partner of the MLS, and so of course we are very happy with that partnership, and I think they made it's incredibly great move that they got Messi, because this is, I think, a couple of years before the World Cup in the United States. It's Messi is a magnet, of course, and yes, we see the content if we share, and it's not, in if you see how big Messi and Cristiano are, and everywhere these guys move, there's a lot of engagement. But the fact is, this guy he makes such a beautiful scores every week. So yeah, that's we see a lot of things happening there, and I think it's really good for football globally, and United States with the World Cup coming up. I think the timing is really perfect, really perfect.
Jules, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you and hearing more about 433. It's certainly the platform has been so successful, and you can see why if you spend any time looking at the content. As you say, it's fun, it's dynamic, even for an older guy like myself, and I'm sure the youth market gets it even more than I do. So we just wish you nothing but the best and more success for that and your other ventures, and maybe we'll have a chance to revisit and see what's happening, especially as we get closer, as you say, to 2026, when the World Cup will be coming here to North America.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Great. And on behalf of everyone at Ticket Manager, thank all of you for watching and listening. And please join us again for the next episode in the All Access interview series.